Welcome back, surf fans. This is the Lexus Trestles Pro, and we are into it. Semifinals, heat number 1. Griffin Colapinto versus Yago Dora. I'm Chris Cote. That's Mitchell Salazar. That is Kelly Slater. Welcome to the booth. Welcome to Lower Trestles, Kelly.
All right.
Very excited to hear what you have to say about this heat because these two guys have been on fire this week.
Yeah. Well, they've been on fire for a few years.
For their whole lives.
Yeah. I actually did a coaching thing. We had a little a team thing with this company called Daphne's when I was a kid, and Griffin was on that. And he was a young guy at the time. And I was supposed to, hold on, we'll go through Yago's first here. Well, no surprise, in air. A little bit of a sloppy wave. Looks like maybe the sort of first wave of the set, and it didn't really pull the sheets clean on that one. So a little bit of bump to deal with. That seems like it's a backup to a backup at the end of this heat.
Warm up.
A warm up. Yep. I don't know how that water is out there, but maybe it's still pretty chilly. But yeah, so I did some critiquing of the kids when they were young, and Griffin was on that team, and it was, even as a young kid, it was hard to give him much critique. You know, his technique was really flawless, and you could see he had a huge emerging future ahead of him.
Mounted a huge comeback. Really, not a good start for Griffin Colapinto this season. But he's fought his way back, climbed all the way to number 9 on the rankings. He's going up against Yago Dora, currently sitting at number 2. Kelly, you've been up and down on the rankings in your illustrious career. What's it like when you have a bad start like Griff had, and how do you turn things around when you just feel like things are slipping away? This season seems to go so fast.
It does. You know, strength builds on strength, and a shot to your ego or your confidence builds on that. You know, you start to doubt yourself a little bit. You have some, even if you surf well but have close heats and you're losing, you sort of feel like maybe they're out to get me. You know, that you get this thing in your head like judges don't like what I'm doing, so you feel like you have to surf differently than you surf, and it becomes a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy on the positive or negative at times.
Yeah, it must. The inner workings of these elite surfers' minds must be an interesting place to live in. 30 minutes, 32 seconds ago, Yago Dora making his way back out. He's got a 5.17 to start. Will these surfers reset their positions in the lineup?
Yeah.
Let's hold on a second. There could be a set rolling through.
Griff.
Oh, looks like maybe. No, it's a one-wave set, and it's kind of bumpy, so there's no real downside for Yago taking this, especially if it's only one wave, and he does that.
Yeah, that's what Yago Dora does. Just
hell.
when you think this
That
wave
was
is not
inverted.
looking good.
That was some Pedro Barros influence right there.
Oh, you got that Rio Tavares.
Boom.
Oh my God.
Okay. He's freestyling right now.
Yeah, and like I said, he had second priority. There was no, because maybe he did see it was only a one-wave set.
Yeah.
And it's on the left. You get out pretty quick, and even without a jet ski ride, it's a pretty quick back out. So watch the tail on this. Just straight, no pump, straight into a huge upside down, kind of disconnected from his board and reconnected really well. Good clean second turn with a little bit of speed. Kind of setting it up here, kind of aiming for the finish. And gets the tail loose there. A little risk at the end on that last wave because he had to drift the tail over a little collapsing lip, and that's a great wide ride to start.
Straight back out on the Red Bull jet ski. He'll be right back into the takeoff zone to meet up with Griffin Colapinto. While he gets his spot back in the lineup, let's go down to the glass. Rosie Hodge standing by with Betty Lou Sakura Johnson.
Unbelievable surfing, Betty. And just thinking about your second final this year, what's changed for you that's seeing so much success, so much momentum, throwing up some huge scores, loving your surfing?
Oh, thank you so much. Definitely, I would say in the back half, it's all in, right? We're all trying to make it to the top 5 and, just push as hard for it. But yeah, nothing to lose, but just trying my best.
Talking about the WSL Final 5, you've gone up into 5th place position with making this final. How does that feel to be achieving those goals?
Yeah, achieving those goals is everything. It helps your confidence and it helps your momentum, and just knowing that you're able and capable of doing the things that you set yourself to do really just brings the best out of you, I would say. So yeah, super stoked.
How do you prepare for the final?
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround, so I think I'm just gonna go lay down, close my eyes for a little bit, and then reset and game on.
I'll let you get some rest. Can't wait for that final. Thanks for the time.
Nothing like the power of a good nap. I'm hearing this like a title of a children's book in my head. Betty Lou's Best Day Ever. And it looks like it's happening in real time as we speak.
Well,
Right
it already happened at Burley this year, too. Oh my gosh.
What?
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's not kind of, he almost sort of,
What
it
do
was
you
a
think?
make to a
Was it a
fall.
make?
Yeah, I mean,
He kind of,
I feel like he made it and then went to do a claim and kind of
Yeah.
fell off, you know, like his heels, he was on his front heel a little bit.
how unfortunate, too.
But that was a psychotic error.
That's the biggest error I've ever seen done at lowers, and there's been plenty of them. I mean, he really just
Let's have a
defies.
moment of silence for this thing. And the grab. I feel like it's a make. I call it a make. I mean, he only fell because he went to claim after he was riding out.
Look, no one in there is sure.
Why?
Here's the question. All right.
This is the
Watch
most
the
technical,
grab.
though. Indy.
Ian Crane would be, oh, he does a stale, doesn't he? Oh,
Wow.
cool. So look,
Okay, right here.
he's fully there, but he's on the heel, front heel, and he goes to kind of claim it, and that's the only reason he fell off, but I feel like the damage was done in my book, you know?
I'm saying no make. You got to make it
Yeah.
abundantly
No.
clear to the judges.
Yeah.
I think
I
you're
mean,
right.
If anything was an indication that you think of Italo's at Nerby the other year,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he stomped it and then didn't, you know, the foam passed him up and he didn't ride out the front of the foam. And
It's almost like one little lean. Easy to say from here, lean on his toes to kind of just ride straight for a little bit. Of course,
yeah, he got ahead of himself there. a
Yeah,
little,
just
so
stay low that
But-
extra second.
Wow.
I don't think the kids out there are going to be too worried about whether he made it or not. They're just like, you see that thing he did?
that was awesome. 26 minutes ago, Yago Dora has lit this place ablaze. He's waving 8.33, and that was just a bonus wave he got on his way
was.
back out. So if he's doing that on bonus waves, what's he going to do when a set rolls through? And how do you take the momentum away from Yago Dora if you're Griffin Colapinto?
Oh, here he goes left again.
Kid is back on the
Throwing a little
escalator.
power there. Found a nice clean spot on the wave to do a carve, and obviously setting him for the air here. And the grab. And he's going to try to ride this one up, but I think he's a little late in the layback there.
They got a big decision to make, though, with the previous wave. Because it's a make. We're talking about the highest score of the heat right now.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because it could put Griffin in a really deep hole
Yeah.
to just start this heat right away.
Big if.
You know, a layback, an air, a big turn to a layback to get back up when I was a kid was a maneuver when you fell back, you know. But as it's evolved, the cleanliness of the end of the ride has become the thing. But, I mean, I would say Yago's air right there 10 years ago was a 10, right? That ride. So it just builds on itself.
There's your answer. Here's your
That's
Pacifico
right,
fan
yeah.
pick. 60% for Griff, 40 for Yago. Yago's last wave deemed a non-make. It was awesome until the end. Filling us back. But here we go. Griffin Colapinto with the answer back. Blast the tail through this mid portion of the wave.
And it's funny timing because Griff then gets this one right as that score comes through, and he realizes he's in the heat.
Yeah.
He's not in a deep hole, and he's probably sort of matched or come close to whatever Yago did. And now you have an even battle instead of him trying to dig his way out.
James Brown, the big payback. That's what happened right there with Griffin Colapinto. So again, that wave from Yago Dora going upside down, inverted back 5, but it does not count because he did not ride out clean.
He's going to kick himself.
A 3-point ride.
He's going to kick himself for that. I don't know how you go 3 from what's probably an 8.5 or 9.
Probably.
But yeah, that's the way it is.
Got to drop in a stat real quick, Chris. This guy right here to my left is the only person in the sport of surfing that's competed at the same venue in 5 different decades. Kelly since the 80s up until the 2020s now. How ridiculous is that?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And he looks 20 years
I
old.
was
don't know
I
how
was
it's
actually my first contest I ever surfed, it was 1980. And looking back, my brother surfed it the year before in 79, and I was kind of bummed I didn't surf in the 70s. I missed the whole
the one stat you don't have.
I missed the decade, so.
We got 23 minutes to go here. Strider Wasilewski just witnessed Griffin Colapinto with a comeback wave. Plenty of time to go. Strider, what is happening in the lineup?
Well, I'm just, I'm baffled that the air of Yago looked like a slow motion aerial. The way he was, that's how high he was. Everything just like, boom. he just went down into that moment of just, I don't know, beauty. It was like a pirouette in the air that just looked like he was going to come through and land it, and he did. And then I guess they didn't count it because he like went to claim or something. I don't know. I'm just baffled watching the replays. I was so psyched on the air. Just the performance, throwing down like that finals day. That's what you got to get done. But then we got Griff just powering through heavy chops on the face like that, and really just being able to set a rail and drive through all that chop and make it look seamless. That is really hard to do, especially when the waves got that chop all over the face all the way down. And then he finished for the 2-for-1 on the inside with the big blowtail, the reverse, and then went straight back up. All I saw was fins. So I don't know. I love it. I think we're going to have a great bout here. I think this thing's going to just blow wide open right now because both of them want to get huge scores. They both want to go massive on finals day. They both want to be in the finals. I can't wait. It's, but great point. There's going to be a mayhem in there.
I don't know if Strider can hear me, but Doug Silva calls that a fin count.
A fin count?
Yeah,
I like that.
What was the fin count on that wave by Griff?
15.
I definitely saw a lot of fins on that wave. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Strider. So at this moment, it feels like Griffin is kind of in a defensive position. So he had to fight back after 2 opening rides from Yago Dora as if he was just shot out of a cannon. But Griff, steady nerves, and this wave, he made it count. So he's got a 5.43 and a 7.17.
And to Strider's point, you see that first turn that Griff did, it looks like he might have been a touch longer board even than his smallest board, but he was able to really hold that rail through the bump on that first turn. And then his second turn, it cleaned right up and let him get a clean face. See, these first waves in these sets can have a lot of chop. It comes from hundreds of yards out, and it can be really tough to surf these things. But this was Griffin's 7, wasn't it? 7.17. Yeah.
Perfect size to surf out here, Kelly?
Yeah, I like this size a lot. Any bigger, it might push into the bay a little mushy, especially as the tide's lower. I think this is the right size. And looking at this, boom, there we go. There's a fin count. And you can see the fin count from the front of the wave that time.
Does it count for double that way? Or?
Yeah, maybe a little extra.
2.5 fins showing right there. 20:38 to go. The phrase flow state, relatively new, but I think the first case of that had to have been, at least in the world of surfing, Kelly Slater in black and white, 1990 here at Lower Trestles. I think the ultimate display of a surfer entering the flow state. Kelly, when you started that event and made it all the way through the finals, that final day, did you know something special was happening as it was happening to you?
I felt like I did, yeah. Chris Brown and I were best buddies at the time. We traveled together a lot through our teenage years, competed all around the world. We were like 2 peas in a pod, really pushing each other and helping each other. And he helped me a lot. He got me on Channel Islands and brought me to Rincon and sort of the points in California and helped smooth my style out. And Chris had a huge influence on my life. And felt like it was us 2 young guys against a West Coast guy in Bud Lamas, and you had a Cocoa Beach guy in Charlie Kuhn against young, old, and it was a good battle, and it was definitely it seemed like a turning of the tides for generations once it was all said and done. But something really special felt like it was happening with the waves, with the board designs, with the way surfing was going. Christian had won, I think, a year or 2 before that, and he's really bringing in the air game. So the style of surfing was changing a lot at that time.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about out there, mandatory viewing is Kelly Slater black and white. Well, we're here, silence on the beach right now, and we've got an embedded reporter in the Red Bull Athlete Zone. Kaipa Guerrero is with the Griffin Colapinto camp.
That's right, I'm embedded. And back to 1990, Kelly, I was in that event too. I lost super early though, but you guys all ripped that final. But Crosby, how nervous are you right now?
It's like a 5 out of 10. Griff's pretty good in these moments, so I trust him. But it's a sick heat so far. If Yago landed that air, it'd be a lot further distance for Griffin to get the score.
Yeah, I think he's still in there. What do you think, Cade?
I think that was really close. That was scary for sure, but Griff's locked in. He's ripping, so it's sick.
Vibes are with Griff right here. This is the Griff Energy Camp right here, you guys.
Well, tell him to get loud because there's 18 minutes, 13 seconds left. We know Griff thrives thrives on that emotional style of surfing. He's so calm and steady on land, but he's mentioned it before that having this hometown, backup has helped him, but also at times hinders him because he's said, look,
pressure.
It gets on his nerves a little bit. Yeah, there's pressure because all his friends and his family, literally his dad, is watching from the lifeguard tower right there.
Hey, it was a curse for Tiago Perez in Portugal.
Yeah.
And he just, you could see the pressure on his shoulders each time. I'm going to throw one more stat out from 1990 Bud Tour event. Our contest director, Darren Grillhart, made the semifinals in that event.
He beat Kaipo.
Yeah. Todd Matsui was another good friend of mine who made the semifinals. I think he just lost out by one spot to make the final there.
One of the all-time greatest events ever. 17 minutes, 20 seconds to go. Yago Dora versus Griffin Colapinto. Let's take a look at the numbers. And there you go, head-to-head matchup.
Interesting.
2-4. So your heat average, about even there. Heat score, same thing. Max wave score. I mean, everything's very close. They have had 3 quarterfinals together, but Yago with the edge, and that's how it stands right now. That 8-3-3 looming large in Yago Dora's score line, but both surfers right now looking for that second score. Yago sitting on a 5.17 for his low. Griff sitting on a 5.43. Plenty of time left, 16:42. And we had Leonardo Fioravanti in here earlier talking about recent history. This guy beat me in the last event, or the one before that. Kelly, I know you have a mile-long stat sheet of wins and losses against surfers. Can you use that to your advantage when you're going up against an opponent who's beat you 2 out of 4 times?
Yeah, I mean, it should either fire you up. If you have the advantage over them, you should be really confident and know that that's in that person's head. But if you're the guy trying to catch up, it should light a fire under your belly and get you awake and adrenalized for that heat. You gotta make it personal when you're in the water sometimes in order to really get yourself awake and aware and focused and trusting your decisions and all that stuff. So, sometimes a little bit of adrenaline from your fear of losing or your anger of having been beat before, it kind of puts you in the present time. I was thinking recently about how you can get angry after a wave, or when you do anything if you mess it up. And I had somebody the other day say, "Oh, don't let it make you mad." And I was like, "Well, sometimes the anger is the thing that gets you in that moment,
pushes you,
so you can use it the right way." But I think Griffin's probably pretty calm. He's really, really calm within himself in the last couple years. And let's see here. So this is one of those waves with a little bit of bump on the face. We'll see how Yago handles it. Pretty good setup to start. He's probably already looking for a section for the air, I would think. Well, he's got a clean face. I'm watching the screen, not out in the lineup, so I don't see what's coming up ahead. But really good inverted turn there. These waves are hard to place the turns really with flow because of how much bump there is. You got to let the bump dictate it. And a good finish there. He did pretty good for what that wave offered him. It wasn't a really perfectly clean face, and you could take a lot of time between turns to set up the bump and the chop, but he kind of went turn to turn there. And
can I ask you something though, Kelly?
Yeah.
At this point of the heat, if Griffin goes on that wave and switches into the lead, there's a psychological advantage for the local surfer though, right?
Yeah, well, look, Griff's got something here, and I would think that Yago's wave would have cleaned this one up. And Griff can go big here to start and still get out with priority if he falls or it doesn't look like a good wave. Cleaner fit, I would think. I think that lip's a little bit bumpy, but he did good to really lay the rail in there. Boom. Good turn there. Nice release. He kind of needs that one, you know what I mean, on this wave to get back up in that 8 zone. Really good flow. Boom. Good clean ride.
Big power layback snap at out of style. That was awesome.
A bit more, I would think a little more power, a little more speed turn to turn for Griffin's there. So I think Griffin probably got the advantage on that. I don't know if it's going to go up to match Yago's 8, but in that exchange, I think Griffin probably got the better of it. Would be my first.
Time to think about it. 13 minutes, 26 seconds left. Did Griff do enough to take over the lead? You're going to have to stay tuned to find out. You're watching the Lexus Trestles Pro. We'll be right back. We're back. Let's do this. Yago Dora versus Griffin Colapinto. This is semifinal heat number 1 here at the Lexus Trestles Pro. Chris Cote here with Mitchell Salazar and Kelly Slater. We're breaking down the action for you so far. Kind of controlled chaos. Some of these waves have some awkward bounces to them. Yago Dora's going right, going left. Griff with 2 waves ridden. He's got a 5.43 and a 7.17. Meanwhile, Yago's last score comes through a 6.27. He has the edge for now, as well as priority. Griffin would need a 7.44 to take over that top spot.
Still waiting for Griffin's score, right?
Yeah.
Or both of their scores.
No. So Yago just got the 6.27.
Oh, we did get the 6. Yeah, we go. So here comes one of those. It's not the first wave of the set, but it's big enough to have a bunch of bump on the face. So we'll see how Griff goes, if he just goes big right away, or if it lets him, if it makes him wait a little bit for it. There he goes. Oh. Yeah. I think he saw, you know, the surfers see that bump and chop, and if you can take a big risk right away, you can turn one of those waves into a big score. But, you know, if you just ride down a wave that's bumpy, and you don't do any one big thing, there we go, 7.27 for Griffin. So he got the better of it by about a point. Yeah.
It just feels like surfers have a reaction time unlike any other, you know, athlete. It was almost as if, as Griff was going in that bottom turn, he was seeing the whole rest of that wave, knowing that that was really going to be his only opportunity. Take a look back now at Yago Dora's 6.27. And making a lot out of this wave, where from here for about 3 or 4 more seconds, there's really nothing happening. Yeah. And then he escalates.
Yeah, so it cleans up in there. It gives him a little bit of clean face to do his thing. But you could see it was kind of, that was a little bit of risk, and it was a really cool maneuver right there. But overall, move to move was a bit slower than Griff's. He's trying to kind of almost create speed instead of use the speed that's thrown at him. And then just a little kind of spin to finish the wave. So I wouldn't think anywhere near the excellent. And then Griff, watch how much more speed and power he goes turn to turn. Set up there with some nice control. And right here, really jams on the back foot. Oh, we got live action.
Like a glassy mid-sized wave for Griffin Colapinto. Beautiful tail slide start. Another hard slam. Comes around the section. Activates that inside rail. Setting a blistering pace down the line. Griffin Colapinto. Everything is coming together. Was that the 7.34 he needed? He seems to think so.
And Yago now on the left. That's a good answer. Ooh, good answer, Chris.
Good arc there to start. Another good setup, almost like a setup carve. You can see he's kind of biding his time. He's going to look for the big air. Oh, just goes the tail whip.
Get up.
And I'm surprised he didn't try to air out of that, because it's a funny battle when you're thinking, I just need a good score to finish this, or I want to go huge and get a giant score.
Almost just slightly mistimed. A lot of times you see Yago kind of do that classic air surfer technique of a little stall at the top of the wave.
So Griff here, good start, a lot of speed, spray out the top of that one. Boom, another big bash, a lot of power. And right here, he just got a little tiny bit stuck right there. And I feel like it almost set him back, so he wasn't able to clean that turn prior to that one out. And then he sort of fit those two in. So I think if they're picking this wave apart, it might be right there. He might get it, but that's what I would pick apart on that wave.
The previous wave was probably better, though, right? And he just needs a little bit above that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, might go bigger, actually. We'll see. It was a smaller wave, but it had a better line to it.
It was cleaner on the face.
Yeah.
Just above a 7.93, so the judges loving the speed, power, flow that Griffin Colapinto showed them on that last wave. 7.5 to go. Griffin's on the paddle back out. Strider Wasilewski is in the channel looking in.
Well, I got that wrong.
So did I.
You guys got it wrong. I got it right out here. Everything. I mean, I don't know. He was flying. The wave was clean. The face was super tight. And you know, that's what I think allowed him to surf really fast and quick on that wave. Looks like we got some action going right here, though. Griffin on the backhand. You guys, he's up and out. Kelly, I got a question for you. How come you don't return my text?
What text?
No, just kidding.
I invited you to dinner the other night. You didn't show up.
I'm just kidding. Hey, I do have a question for you, though. You know, Griffin Colapinto, the nicest, coolest, like, cruisiest guy on tour. Can you win a world title without the kill or be killed attitude?
Well, don't let him fool you.
Or have you seen anybody win a world title without the kill or be killed attitude?
I mean, there's times for both, you know. If you're really just internally inspired and at peace with yourself, you can do probably your best surfing. But if you get caught up in a battle with another surfer, or someone you've got a sort of thing with, it can draw you in, and that can push you too. But I think when you're more kind of at peace and relaxed and feeling the love, you just do your best. Most creative stuff.
The way of the peaceful warrior.
But did you have to find a balance to be able to do that then?
Yeah, and you have to be able to draw on either, I think.
Pretty interesting. I mean, if you look at your world titles and your return to competition in 2005, you were obviously a way different person back then in the late 90s. A lot had happened already by that point, but what about the one 2010, 2011? Because those were consecutive and you were a completely different point of your career right then too.
Yeah, those were, 2010 was a very strange one, obviously, because Andy passed away, and it was a very bittersweet moment, more bitter than sweet that week, and it was tough to celebrate or to be happy that week. But I felt like I was really just in the flow and just cruising those years. 2008 was probably my best year overall. Maybe statistically was my best year. 4 out
of the first 5. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, and then I was just really mad that I lost in Bali in the 6th one. but it was just one of those years that was just everything was coming together for me. And let's see Griff here.
Well, Griff is in the lead now with that 7.93.
Oh wow! See, if he gets a smaller one or one of those early waves in a set, he's going to go real big right away, because that could all of a sudden he could go up into the excellent really significantly. But you can't kind of bide your time on those waves and then try one big thing towards the end and expect that big number. So you got to push it from start to finish. And look, now the pressure is squarely back on Yago. I said he was going to be kicking himself for that early claim there, and I had a feeling that there was some little momentum shift. And Griffin, I would say at a pretty young age, has done a lot of spiritual searching, and he can probably feel those little subtle things in a heat that a lot of people don't see out there, even competitors won't see out there. It might be like somebody in a boxing match, and they feel somebody's power leave a little bit, or their quickness just dissipate, and they go, I got this guy. You can feel the other guy's energy go down, and you can pick up on that.
Being able to pounce on that momentum.
So yeah, Griffin has pounced here, and now with this crowd on the beach, I mean, imagine being in Brazil against Yago and he just passed you.
Yeah. It's
the other way around.
Yeah.
It's this crowd is squarely behind Cole and Griffin today, and this is a big moment for both of them, but a huge moment for Griffin in terms of getting back in that top 5, and Yago trying to catch up to Jordy.
This is scary. Needing a 6.87, Yago Dora. A little left runner. There you see the subtle little stall to set things up. Blast the tail out, whips it around. No problem for Yago Dora. Cat-like reflexes, and again.
Man.
Firepower on display from Yago Dora.
He didn't claim that one too early.
Oh, yeah.
He made it very clear that was a nice, clean ride out. So 2 different airs for Yago Dora. 3 minutes left, looking for a 6.87. That was unexpected. Well, it was expected, but it was unbelievable that he was able to fit those 2 airs, no pumps.
With variety.
Mm-hmm. Just took off. That little stall set him up for greatness.
That curve on that off that first bottom turn, the curve of the wave, the hook right there is so set up for a goofy footer to do that. And Yago is the best in the world, I think, at variety. I think Italo is almost like a video game, but Yago's got this kind of cool skate style. Watch the way this thing sets up for him. Backside, you can't hit that at that same angle and get that loft. And then look, the variety there.
Who's got more pop? I mean, he's
here we go.
levitating.
Griff's got a really clean face. He's gonna throw something huge right here. Got to climb up to it. Boom! Oh man, that look. Well, I don't like how that looked coming off. That was an ankle, maybe. I hope not. But it looked like he could have caught his foot strange coming. No, he's fine. But he knew he had to push it there, and he probably was hoping he could have got there a little earlier and got the air. Because with all that speed momentum, that was huge.
Kind of surprised he went for the floater personally, but look at the score for Yago, Chris. Change the situation.
8.90, earned every point of that huge score. Now he is way into the lead Griffin Colapinto against the ropes for now, needing a 9-3-0.
Ooh, look at this set. Where's Griff? Is he? I don't think he's
Still
far enough
paddling
back
out.
out. Yeah, he's too far down the line. He'd be. And Yago doesn't bother with the lead.
He's a minute 22 seconds to go.
Griff, he could go huge right here straight away. It's not going to let him, is it?
9-3-0 would be a miracle in this wave.
Great start, though, on this wave. Needs the big lip rotation. Yeah.
Hey, nice effort, though. And as you were saying, Chris, big bounce back after the start of the season right here. Another semi, you kidding me? Back-to-back finals days for Griff?
Yeah.
The big W.
It's going to be a bittersweet keeper.
Sometimes a loss is a good thing. I don't mean like losing early, but you know, when you get second, when you get third, it just keeps you hungry. When you get first, you kind of you go relax a little bit.
Yeah.
It's rare you see somebody back up with 2 wins in a row, but it's not rare to see somebody go semifinal to a win.
Right.
Rio White had a great quote about that. He posted it on his Instagram. I needed that loss. I needed a reminder.
That's awesome, yeah. Which one was that? At Abu Dhabi?
El Salvador.
Yeah.
El Salvador.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the waves were pumping right there, and he lost a close one to Marco right at the end.
Well, folks.
Well, I
sorry,
think we're going to get
San
a hot lap right here. Let's get a little hot lap from Yago. Or is he going to hold it back?
I've never seen that. Big snap there for Yago. This is a victory lap. It's official. Yago Dora surfs his way into the finals.
Wow.
Huge.
We got a goofy footer.
That was huge from Yago Dora.
It's really cool to see a number of guys hitting their stride and hitting their peak at the same time in their career, you know. Obviously, Yago is really, he was a little bit behind and had to kind of catch up the last couple of years to the competition side of things. Griffin's been right there. Felipe's been right there. Jack Itola. I mean, these guys have all been like maximizing their competitive side, but here comes Yago.
Here comes Yago, is right. Our first finalist of the event, the Lexus Trestles Pro, rolls on. We got Jack Robinson, Kanoa Igarashi coming up next. We're going to force Kelly to stay here with us all. We'll see you right after these messages.
What a heat. That was so incredibly exciting. You need the 683. You take off, you go all world for the 8.9. Tell us about that wave and just the heat in general.
Yeah, at that moment I needed a 6.8, but I knew I'll probably need more than that because there was still time on the clock and a lot of sets coming out the back, and the caliber of surfing Griffin is, I knew I was probably going to need a big score again, so I just went big again. Like I knew like my board was, I was really confident on my board that I was going to make those airs, and the one on the right was so close. I like kind of made it, but then like got kind of excited too early, I think, and then ended up falling. But yeah, I was just like, okay, it was kind of hard to recover from that, actually. I was like, damn, that was like the opportunity to kind of close the heat already this early, so I had to like kind of reset after that, and okay, let's go left again and get it done.
It's been so fun all week. The energy here on the beach has been amazing. Have you been enjoying this event down here at Lowe's?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I love it here. I lived here for a couple of years back in the day, and yeah, it's kind of feels like a second home to me, and yeah, it's a place I love. It's the kind of wave I like surfing. Yeah, it's been a great week.
And you're in the final. You got to hold it down for the goofy footers. We've only had Luke Egan win this event before. What would it mean to you to take this one out, not only for the goofy footers, but for yourself?
Yeah, I always dreamed of competing here. This is actually my first event here, and I've always surfed really good on this wave, and always like dreamed of being in the final 5 and having a shot at the title here. And this performance proves that I was probably going to be fighting for a title if I was here. But yeah, it's good to get the opportunity. You know, I'm really excited and really grateful to just go out there and surf good waves. You know, that's what we come for.
All the best in the final. Well done, Yago.